Tragedy in one part of Florida.
He's in the hospital, had surgery this morning.
After deputies come under fire. After shaky news involving investments.
And make sure that you do your homework.
The network looks at safer ways to grow your money. The Heat taking on the Jazz. And looking to make Utah face the music. Plus, a kaleidoscope of color taking over Miami's Perez Art Museum.
And I really liked it because it was kind of just like abstract and like you could come to your own understanding.
These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
Hello, South Florida. I'm Leanne Abutarbush. I'm Kelly Sanchez. Today is Tuesday, March 14th, 2023.
Live from the FIU Lee Kaplan School of Journalism and Media, this is SFMN Newsbreak.
Despair this morning for departments in 2 states after a couple deaths in the line of duty, including one in Florida. A Florida deputy is recovering this morning after he was shot Sunday night.
Authorities say the 2 deputies chased a suspect in the Pinellas Park area after someone reported possible car break-ins. Officials say the suspect ambushed the 2 deputies in a backyard. One was shot multiple times.
Because of his experience and his grit, Matt survived this. But he's in the hospital, had surgery this morning, and right now appears to be okay, that he's going to pull through this.
The deputy is now in stable condition and is expected to survive. The suspect was killed.
Yesterday afternoon, a standoff between a suspect and authorities finally came to an end after 2 officers were shot, one of which was killed. It was in a small town named Hermann, Missouri, near St. Louis. Authorities believe the suspect barricaded himself in a house across from a general store. He was identified as a 35-year-old man named Kenneth Lee Simpson. According to documents, Simpson has had a long criminal history.
When checking on conservative support for Donald Trump's 3rd presidential campaign, CNN traveled to Miami, not the big city in Florida, but the small town in Texas. And as reporter Gary Tuckman reports, for the people who live in Roberts County, the name Ron DeSantis keeps coming up.
The county seat of tiny Roberts County, Texas, is pronounced Miami. It would also be fair to pronounce it as America's #1 county for Donald Trump.
So who do you think you'll vote for in the next presidential election?
Trump.
In this county of about 800 people, he received 95% of the vote in 2016, 96% in 2020, both times the highest percentage of any county in the nation. But is Trumpism on track for continued success here?
I just think it's time to move on.
This is our 4th visit here since Trump was elected president, and on this visit there is a notable shift. Ron Swartz and his wife Kay are retired and live on a hilltop ranch in the county. They and everyone else we interviewed for this story say they voted for Donald Trump in 2016 and 2020.
If the Republican presidential primary were today, do you know who you would vote for?
Probably DeSantis, possibly Pence, but definitely not Trump.
And your husband?
DeSantis, more than likely.
It quickly became clear to us that many Donald Trump voters here are ready for a different Republican.
I mean, I'm leaning toward Nikki Haley, but...
How come?
Because I like her views and the way she does things.
If you had a vote today, who would you pick?
Probably Pence.
Wade Jackson has lived in Miami his whole life. He's in the oil and gas business, also collects antique cars and does mechanic work. And he warns any potential intruder he's not calling 911. He's a lifelong conservative Republican who's not shy about criticizing the man he voted for twice.
He's done some shady things that I'm not real fond of right now, so I'm going to see if there's something else better than that.
What kind of shady things?
Well, like all the documents and stuff in Mar-a-Lago and all of that. I think he's hidden too much stuff. We don't need that in our country. We need everything on the table out in the open.
Rick McDowell operates a hunting business. We interviewed the strong Trump supporter during one of our previous visits to Miami. But he now says that in next year's Texas primary, he's planning to vote for Ron DeSantis.
Donald Trump likes loyal people. Why aren't you being loyal to him and supporting him again?
I think his time's over. I think he's got too much baggage.
Trump certainly still has enthusiastic supporters in Roberts County.
So I'm going to stay loyal, and yes, I will stay
with Donald.
You have no issues
with the way he conducted himself during his presidency?
No.
I'd like them to run together. And that'd be
Trump
good.
or DeSantis?
Trump, DeSantis.
Who would you want to be the president? Who would you want to be the vice president?
That'd be good. I don't know. I think DeSantis might could get elected more easy. Trump's got a lot of people that hate him.
All in all, it does appear Donald Trump has some challenges here. New challenges.
I voted for him originally because I was really voting against Hillary. And then I was voting against Biden. And then I thought he might be good for the country. But he's done a lot of disturbing things that are not good for the country. And I don't think, yes, and I don't think he's what we want representing us, who we want representing us.
What disturbing in your mind?
The Capitol and his...
The insurrection.
Yes, and the comments he makes, you know, they're just not professional.
How do you feel? Do you agree with your wife?
I agree 100%, yes, sir.
That was Gary Tuchman reporting campaigning in Iowa last night. The former president was clearly aware of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' growing popularity in the GOP. Trump intensified his attacks on DeSantis in his speech, criticizing DeSantis for his past support for privatizing Social Security, raising the retirement age, and his record on ethanol, a hot issue in Iowa.
It's one thing to look at a great artist's painting. It's quite another thing to feel like you're taking a step inside the art. As the network's Christy Hernandez reports, it's a feeling you get when you enter the new exhibit at Miami's Perez Art Museum.
One of Japan's most influential contemporary artists is displaying her work here at the Perez Art Museum. Step into Yayoi Kusama's Love is Calling, and you step right into her world. Yayoi Kusama is known for her groundbreaking psychedelic sculpture and infinity mirror installation works that originated in the 1960s and gave rise to today's immersive art trend. Love is Calling is the largest of all her infinity rooms. Your senses will be stimulated as you walk into the darkened mirror room and encounter polka-dotted, tentacle-like forms extending from the floor and the ceiling, providing the only source of light as they gradually change colors. All while, a recording of Kusama's voice fills the space as she recites a love poem in Japanese. The poem was written by the artist, and the poem's title translates to Reciting in a Castle of Shed Tears. Love is Calling first premiered in Japan in 2013, and since then it has been in many museums around the world. Mother and son heard about the infamous exhibition at PAM and had to make it a part of their family outing.
Really admire her work. I think it's also really cool to see minority artists, because that's what really a lot of what we saw.
Tamsin Simpson, a longtime fan of Kusama's work, first experienced Love is Calling in Tampa back in 2018. And this time she brought her sister along for the experience.
My first time seeing the piece, and I really liked it because it was kind of just like abstract, and like you could come to your own understanding and your own concept of it.
You now have the chance to experience Yayoi Kusama's Love is Calling until February 11th, 2024. Keep in mind, your general admission ticket to the Perez Art Museum does not include admission to Love is Calling. Upon arrival, walk over to the visitor service desk and make a separate reservation at no additional cost. Come early because there is a possibility for the event to sell out. My name is Christy Hernandez with the South Florida Media Network.
The Heat face Utah, with Miami working towards securing its place in the NBA playoffs with just a dozen games left to go.
That's still ahead, and so is this story.
Small amounts of money count too when it comes to investing.
It's been a bad week for some investment companies. We've got tips from the experts on how to grow your money safely. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
Really use a new tablet. I just don't have the money.
Let me ask you something. Do you have a Pell Grant?
Yes.
You do know you can get a free tablet, right?
Did you say free?
Yeah, free. It's simple. And the application is done in the store.
I could really use a tablet.
Get one. Another satisfied customer. Stop by Pantotech in the Graham Center at FIU MMC today to speak with one of our associates to get your free tablet.
Type 2 diabetes can have a big impact on your life. But how can it be prevented? Well, the first step is knowing if you have something called prediabetes. Take the 1-minute risk test today at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Your money is safe. That's the message from President Biden to customers of Silicon Valley Bank after the institution's collapse on Friday. But the White House stopped short of saying it would bail out the bank. With stocks, real estate, and even crypto growing more volatile, what can you do to grow your portfolio?
One financial expert has 5 tips to become a better investor in 2023. Investors looking to grow their hard-earned money are facing increasingly volatile markets this 2023. A shaky stock market, a rocky real estate industry, and an imploding crypto sector. So what can you do now to protect your assets and better manage your portfolio?
Take the time to educate before you allocate and make sure that you do your homework.
Financial expert Lynette Kalfani-Cox has 5 tips to help you this year. The first one is to do your research before investing in any market. And number 2, have a plan. Once you understand the risks, figure out how much you can invest, especially amid soaring inflation.
Small amounts of money count too when it comes to investing. So often people fail to even begin because they say, well, I don't have $5,000 to start, or I don't have a big lump sum of money to put into the markets.
3, diversify your investments. Kalfani-Cox recommends avoiding an overconcentration in one area. And number 4, treat crypto with extreme caution, especially after 2 main banks for crypto companies shut down this month, adding another blow to the crypto industry, which is still struggling to recover from last year's crippling crypto winter that pushed Bitcoin down nearly 65%.
Don't just throw your money into something in the short run thinking, okay, I'm gonna, this is gonna be part of my get-rich-quick scheme. It simply doesn't work like that.
And finally, know your limits. No matter how much research you've done, be a humble investor. The collapse of SVB is the latest in a string of lending and investing failures, including the fall of FTX, the company which used to own the naming rights to Miami-Dade Arena.
Today, the Miami Heat are jazzed up after a tight win against Utah here at home. After a loss against the Magic in Orlando, the Heat players needed to tune themselves up and find a win to get closer to securing a spot in the playoffs. Although it wasn't easy for them, they made it happen. All 5 starting players plus 2 more off the bench were all able to hit the right notes and score 10 or more points. The final score of the game was Jazz 115, Heat 119. The Heat will move on to Chicago to play the Bulls tomorrow at 7:30 p.m.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. The one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink. Or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking. Now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead. Catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Every day,
millions of people are connecting.
And even though we're overcoming obstacles,
watching each other's backs,
and banding together,
we should still make an effort.
We should still make an effort
to get to know each other
on a deeper level. Father,
cosplayer,
mentor,
actor.
It's time we take a step forward.
It's time we take a step forward.
Come together
and discover
how accepting our differences
can make us stronger.
That's all the time we have for Newsbreak. I'm Kelly Sanchez.
I'm Leon Abu Tarbush. Get more news anytime at sfmn.fiu.edu.